Okay, picture this. You're scrolling, right, just scrolling through your feed, and bam, a headline. Scientists discover life on Mars.
Whoa.
It's shocking. Like, is it true? How do we even know?
Yeah, that's a thing these days, isn't it?
So today we're diving into critical thinking, which this source calls, like, essential, especially for 2025.
It really is. I mean, think about it. It's not just about what you know.
Right.
It's about how you think about what you know.
Ooh, I like that.
Right. Critical thinking, it's like this filter for all the noise, helps you sort fact from fiction, make smarter decisions, the whole 9 yards.
So this source, it compares critical thinking to being a detective.
Ooh, I like that.
Right. You're not just taking info at face value.
You're investigating.
Exactly.
You're looking for clues, motives, trying to piece it all together.
So it's an active process, not passive.
It is.
And like a good detective, you're relying on evidence, not just a hunch or a feeling.
Exactly. You got to have the proof. You're analyzing the information, breaking down these complex issues, and then you can see the bigger picture.
I see. So it's not about, like, being cynical or doubting everything.
No.
But it's about having that healthy skepticism.
And the tools. You need those tools to actually evaluate all that information coming at you.
So it starts with questioning.
Oh, absolutely. Question everything.
Don't just accept what you see or hear.
Right. Where'd it come from?
Right.
Is the source even credible? Are there biases, agendas, all that?
Then you look for patterns.
Connections. How do the pieces fit?
Are there, like, inconsistencies?
Contradiction.
Does the evidence actually back up what's being said?
Exactly.
So it's active engagement.
It is. It's not just about taking in information, it's doing something with it.
Analyzing it.
Yep. And drawing your own conclusions based on what the evidence says.
And this is where it gets interesting, because we also have to be aware of our own biases.
Oh, for sure.
Right. Because we all have them.
We all have them.
Those preconceived notions. Yeah.
Totally. It's like this filter in our brains.
Yeah.
It can totally warp how we see things.
It's tough, but you got to recognize that.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to be objective.
Totally.
So, I mean, we need to be honest with ourselves.
Right.
Are we clinging to an idea because it's true or just because it's comfy?
Exactly.
Are our emotions getting in the way?
It's important to ask ourselves these questions.
It is.
That's part of it, that self-reflection.
Absolutely. So we've talked about what critical thinking is, but why is it so important now, especially in 2025? This source makes it sound kind of dire, like it's a must-have.
Well, they're not wrong. I mean, look around. Information overload everywhere.
It's everywhere.
News, opinions, data coming at you from all directions.
It's a fire hose.
It is.
Yeah.
And how much of it is actually, reliable?
Right. And without a way to filter it.
To assess it.
To analyze it.
You're vulnerable.
You are.
Manipulation, misinformation, all that bad stuff.
So it's almost like protection.
It is protection. And think about fake news.
Oh, yeah.
That spreads so fast these days.
It's unbelievable.
It really is.
And without critical thinking.
You're more likely to believe it, to share it even. And that can have real-world consequences.
It really can. And it's not just fake news. This source also mentions AI.
Oh, yeah.
Like ChatGPT and stuff.
Generative AI, yeah.
They can make, like, realistic content.
Oh, yeah. Text, images, videos. It can be really hard to tell what's real and what's not anymore.
It's crazy. So is AI good or bad in this case?
It's both. It's a double-edged sword.
Right.
It has amazing potential.
Oh, absolutely.
But it makes critical thinking even more important. You have to really evaluate where information's coming from.
So we're always playing detective.
In a way, yeah.
Always on the lookout. And not just in our personal lives either, right? This source mentions the workplace, too.
Oh, definitely.
Makes sense, though, right?
Totally. As automation and AI take over, those routine tasks, employers are going to be looking for people who can think for themselves, solve problems creatively.
Be adaptable.
Right.
So it's about, like, being future-proof.
It is. And the great thing is, critical thinking, it's a skill you can learn.
That's a relief.
You don't have to be born with it.
Okay, good.
It's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
That is good to hear.
Isn't it?
So how do we get better at it?
Well, you have to start with the right mindset. And a big part of that, intellectual humility.
Intellectual humility. Oh, sounds scary.
It's not scary, I promise. It just means being okay with saying, I don't know.
Okay.
Being open to the possibility that you might be wrong. And if you get new evidence, changing your mind.
Oh, okay. So it's letting go of the ego a bit?
Exactly. Being open to learning, to growing.
Makes sense.
Isn't it?
What else could we do?
Think like a scientist?
Wait, do I need a lab coat?
No lab coat needed. But you can use the scientific mindset. Form hypotheses, test them, be willing to change your mind based on the results.
So, like, always challenging our own assumptions.
Yeah.
Looking for evidence.
Oh, okay, so it's like approaching things with a sense of curiosity.
Yes. Curiosity, openness, willingness to be surprised.
What a great way to put it. I like it.
Good. There's also a technique called the 5 whys.
The 5 whys. Okay, tell me more.
It's simple. Problem or question. Ask why 5 times in a row.
Okay.
Dig deeper, get to the root of the issue.
Oh, interesting. So like if a coworker misses a deadline.
Exactly. You could ask, why did you miss the deadline? They might say they're overwhelmed. You ask, why are you overwhelmed? Maybe too many projects. Why too many projects? And so on.
Ah, so you keep digging.
You do. And you might find the real problem is something totally different from what you thought at first.
Wow, that's really useful. Any other tips?
Diversify your information diet.
You mean not just getting all my news from one place?
Exactly. It's like a balanced meal. Okay.
You only eat one thing, you get malnourished, information's the same, only one perspective, you don't get the full picture.
So we should actively look for different viewpoints.
Yes. Even if they're uncomfortable, even if they challenge us.
Challenge is good, right?
It is. It gives you a more nuanced view of the world.
Yeah.
And that helps you make better decisions.
All this is great, but in our busy world, it's hard to slow down and think critically.
I know. But that's my final tip, actually. Slow down.
Wait, slow down. Everything's so fast.
I know. But it's like a superpower these days.
Okay.
Take a breath before reacting. Give yourself time to think.
Don't just jump to conclusions.
Exactly. That pause can prevent mistakes, help you make better choices, both personally and professionally.
This has been really valuable.
It has, hasn't it?
I see how critical thinking can actually make a difference.
It's not about right or wrong. It's about navigating the world with awareness, confidence, wisdom.
And who wouldn't want that?
Yeah.
We've covered a lot.
Yeah.
What critical thinking is, why it's crucial, and some techniques.
A good foundation.
But there's more.
There's always more. Stick around for part 2, where we'll get into how to put these skills into practice every single day. Okay, so we know why critical thinking is important, but how do we actually, use it?
Right. We need those everyday practical tips.
The hacks. Give me the hacks.
Well, this source has got them. And it's not about changing everything, just little shifts,
Little shifts, big impact.
Yeah.
Especially with thinking. So what's the first hack? Hit me with it.
Imagine you've got this truth filter on your social media.
Okay, I like it. A truth filter.
Before you share anything, especially if it's like shocking, take a moment.
A pause.
Exactly. That's where the critical thinking kicks in. Ask, where'd this come from? Is this source even reliable? Does it sound right?
It's like that gut check, right?
It is your first defense against misinformation. And remember, that stuff spreads like wildfire online.
Oh.
So fact check before you share, not just for you, but for everyone.
Right. Got to protect the network. Be a good digital citizen. But what about when you're not just reading, you're in an argument? Things can get heated.
Oh, tell me about it.
Yeah.
Especially online. It's like everyone wants to win the internet.
Right.
But that's where perspective taking comes in.
Perspective taking. So like walking in someone else's shoes, even if their shoes are like ugly.
Even then, it's about stepping outside yourself and trying to get where they're coming from. Even if, and this is important,
Yeah.
you totally disagree.
That's tough though, isn't it? Like our own views feel so right. How do you even start seeing things from someone else's side?
You got to listen. Like really listen. Not just waiting for your turn to talk, but actually trying to get their logic,
Okay.
their experiences, their values.
So it's less about winning, more about understanding their strategy.
Yeah. And here's the real challenge. Once you've heard them, try explaining their argument back to them. Like in a way they'd agree with.
Whoa! That's next level. So you're not just hearing them, you're getting into their head.
Exactly. It might not change your mind, but it can make the conversation so much better.
More productive, less shouting.
And hey, you might even learn something.
Or at least understand why they think that way. But critical thinking, it's not just for big debates, right? What about those everyday moments where we're on autopilot?
Oh, yeah.
Like when I'm scrolling through online shopping at 2 a.m., my brain's not exactly at peak performance then.
Perfect example.
Yeah.
Say you're getting headphones. See a pair, hundreds of 5-star reviews. Tempting to just buy, right?
Oh, yeah, especially if it's on sale. But I should resist.
Not necessarily, but engage that critical thinking. Are all those reviews too good? Any red flags? Do they even sound real? Are they from verified buyers? Like being an online detective.
Exactly.
Is the product legit or just good marketing.
Don't let those ads fool me.
Right. And remember, biases. Think
Yeah.
about who's writing those reviews. Do they get something for saying nice things? Are they trying to trick you?
It's like a mental chess game.
It is.
Gotta stay a few moves ahead.
You got it. Don't let those sneaky marketing tactics checkmate you.
This is eye-opening. Critical thinking, it's not just some theory, it's actually useful in real life.
And the more you do it, the better you get.
Like a mental upgrade.
Exactly.
A better operating system for your brain.
Love it. Constantly learning, adapting, keeping up with the world.
So it's less about having the answers and more about having the right questions.
You got it. It's curiosity, skepticism, challenging assumptions. Yours and everyone else's.
This is all great, but what's the big picture? Why does this really matter?
That's a great question, and it leads us to the heart of our deep dive. Stick with us for the final part. We'll unpack all that. Welcome back to the deep dive. We've been exploring critical thinking, what it is, how to use it, the whole deal.
We covered a lot of ground.
We have, but now let's zoom out. Why does all this even matter? What's the point of being a critical thinker?
Right, it's not just about winning every argument or anything.
No, it's got to be bigger than that.
It is. This source we're looking at, it talks about critical thinking being about empowerment and creating a better future for everyone.
So it's not just about me.
It's not. It's about using those skills to think about the world around you.
Okay, so how does that work?
Well, think about it. When you think critically, you can question things. You can challenge authority. You can demand evidence, for claims that affect you, affect other people.
So it's like being a better citizen.
Exactly. Active, engaged, informed, all that.
So by thinking critically, we're not just making our own lives better, but everyone's.
Yeah, you're contributing to a more informed society, a fairer society.
Okay, that makes sense. So it helps us see beyond our own little bubble.
It does. Helps you understand how complex the world really is. You can empathize more, recognize when things are unfair, and then work towards solutions that benefit everyone.
So we're not just surviving, we're thriving.
Exactly. Thriving and making the world better in the process.
That's pretty inspiring.
Isn't it?
It's like critical thinking isn't just a skill. It's a way of life.
I like that. A way of being in the world, being curious, open-minded, always wanting to learn.
It's a journey.
It is, and it's not about being perfect.
Or knowing everything.
Nope. It's about asking questions, being willing to explore, to change your mind when you need to.
This has been awesome. Really makes you think.
That's the point.
It is. So to everyone listening, think about a choice you made recently. Any choice.
Big or small.
Right. Could you have used critical thinking there? What questions could you have asked? What evidence could you have looked for?
Different perspectives.
Yeah. It's a little exercise, but it can really help you get better at this.
It can. Because the world needs critical thinkers now more than ever.
It does. So keep those minds sharp. Keep questioning. Keep learning.
And we'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.